The GOP's War on America, a brutal autopsy of Republican rot. The Republican Party, once a proud institution of fiscal conservatism and small government ideals, has metastasized into a grotesque caricature of itself, a festering swamp of ignorance, hypocrisy, and power-hungry desperation. Under the banner of Trump and his MAGA cult, the GOP has unleashed a relentless assault on the American way of life, shredding the very fabric of democracy, decency, and progress. Republican states, their leaders, and their brain-dead base are dragging this nation into a cesspit of regression, and it's time to call it what it is, a disgraceful betrayal of everything America could be. Let's start with the obvious. Trump and his GOP cronies have dismantled the Department of Education, a move so staggeringly stupid it could only come from a party that fetishizes ignorance. Why educate the masses when you can keep them dumb, docile, and dependent? Republican states already boast the highest rates of uneducated yokels. Mississippi, West Virginia, Alabama, take your pick, where high school dropout rates soar and literacy is a luxury. These are the same states that lean hardest on social service aid, sucking up federal dollars like leeches while contributing the least to the pot. California, the economic powerhouse of the nation, foots the bill for these red state freeloaders, bankrolling their food stamps and Medicaid while they scream about socialism and coastal elites. The irony is thicker than their accents. And what do they do with this aid? They squander it on failing economies, poverty-stricken hellholes where jobs are scarce, wages are laughable, and the air is choked with coal dust because environmental protections are now a distant memory. Trump's GOP has gutted the EPA, handing big oil and corporate polluters a blank check to poison rivers, skies, and lungs. Red states like Texas and Louisiana, with their crumbling infrastructure and toxic wastelands, are living proof that Republican policies don't just fail, they kill. Meanwhile, their populations stagnate. No one wants to live in these backwaters. Democratic states like California, New York, and Illinois dwarf them in population because our policies actually work for people. More jobs, better healthcare, cleaner air, turns out that's a draw. Republicans can't claim the same, so they cling to the Electoral College like a life raft, knowing a one-person, one-vote system would drown them in irrelevance. And let's talk about that Electoral College scam. A vote in Wyoming, population barely enough to fill a football stadium, is worth 3.4 times what a Californian's vote is worth. Why the fuck is a Wyomingite's voice worth almost 4 times mine when their state offers practically nothing to the nation? California drives the economy, fuels innovation, and pays the taxes that keep these red state parasites afloat. Yet their empty plains and dying towns get to scream louder because of some archaic slave-era bullshit. They don't have the numbers, and they don't have the worth. Without this rigged system, Republicans would be a permanent minority, a footnote in history, because their ideas don't win hearts, they win loopholes. They don't deserve that inflated power, and they sure as hell don't deserve the federal funding they guzzle while sneering at the blue states that pay for it. It's Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender at its most shameless. Blame Democrats for the mess they've made while pocketing the cash. The GOP's policy record is a laundry list of atrocities. Checks and balances, torched. Trump's power grabs, enabled by a spineless Congress and a judiciary stacked with his hand-picked lackeys, have turned the Supreme Court into a MAGA rubber stamp. Women's rights? Obliterated. Roe v. Wade's corpse still stinks in the air as red states ban abortion, criminalize miscarriage, and hunt down doctors like it's the Dark Ages. Little girls, children, raped by predators, are now denied the abortive care that could save their lives or spare them the unimaginable trauma of carrying their abuser's spawn. In states like Texas and Missouri, a 10-year-old rape victim can be forced to give birth, her body torn apart, her mind shattered, because MAGA's pro-life crusade isn't about life, it's about control. Let's say it plain. The real reason they overturned Roe v. Wade is so the children they fuck are forced to birth more children they can fuck. A sick, twisted cycle of power and perversion, dressed up as piety. These are the same monsters who shrug at maternal mortality rates spiking in their states, where women bleed out in ER parking lots because doctors fear prison more than death. LGBTQ rights, trampled. Bans on gender-affirming care, don't say gay laws, and bathroom bills prove the party of freedom only cares about controlling bodies that don't look like theirs. Employee rights? Crushed. Unions are gutted, wages stagnate, and child labor laws loosen. Yes, child labor, because nothing says family values like forcing a 14-year-old into a factory instead of a classroom. Speaking of family values, let's talk sex scandals. These sanctimonious Bible thumpers can't keep their pants on. Matt Gaetz, investigated for trafficking a minor, still struts around Congress. Lauren Boebert's theater handjob escapade made headlines while she preached traditional marriage. Trump himself, a serial adulterer with hush money payments to porn stars, is their golden calf. The GOP's family values are a punchline, a mask for predators and hypocrites who'd rather judge your bedroom than clean up their own. Republican states are the poorest, the sickest, the least educated, and the most dependent on the very systems they decry. Their economies limp along on handouts, their people die younger, and their schools churn out kids who can't spell democracy, let alone defend it. They've turned America into a two-tier nation, blue states that thrive and red states that fester. And yet they have the gall to claim moral superiority while dismantling everything that makes this country worth living in. The GOP doesn't deserve power. They don't deserve respect. They deserve to be swept into the dustbin of history, a cautionary tale of what happens when stupidity, greed, and cruelty take the wheel. America can't afford their wreckage any longer. By Scott Young, aka Sinfamous Gamer.